Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Thomas Podcast, episode 42, 1. I don't know. I always forget everyone, it keeps me on my toes because every week I'm like, right, I start to remember, and now I forgot. Once again, I'm joined with John. Hi, John, how you doing, mate?
What you gonna do, brother? Evening.
Yes. Just so we can get all the, before we clear, let's clear out of the way. Do you think Hulk Hogan's going to win the Royal Rumble this year?
Do I think Hulk Hogan's going to win the Royal Rumble this year? I mean, you never rule him out. He's the Hulkster. You know, he has friends, and so you never rule it out. You know, you could have a situation where 29 men are eliminated, and then suddenly they decide that there's a 31st man, and the Hulkster just comes down and dumps somebody over the.
Let's just say it's Drew McIntyre.
Well, I mean, why would Drew be winning the Royal Rumble when he's
Because
already...
he lose to Goldberg, man.
I'm sure we'll come on to that, but
I really hope not. I really hope not. By the way, I really hope not.
You never rule the Hulkster out. But I'm gonna rule him out. No, I cannot see Hulk Hogan winning the 2021.
I'm
Royal
so
Rumble. There you go. I've said it now.
I'm so sorry, guys. I'm so sorry. If you want to turn off now, you can do. But bombshell's been done. Hulk Hogan will not be winning the 2021 Men's Royal Rumble match.
It's a bad year for Fake Town already.
Such a shame. Anyway, though, John, before we actually get into the show, how are you doing, mate? Obviously, I didn't hype up who I was with because everyone knew that you'd be back for the second week in a row.
Yeah, I mean, of course, everybody will have listened to last week's edition religiously and made mental notes and physical notes and put up post-its and posters everywhere that I was there not only last week, but I'm here this week as well, doing double duty.
Rightfully so, I think. Rightfully.
So everybody, but, you know, obviously, everybody pays full attention. They've all got that etched completely on their hearts anyway. So they all knew. I think this probably qualifies me for a co-host credit, but you know, we won't go there.
You haven't got to Mamoon level just yet, so wait to get there.
I haven't. No.
And even he hasn't got one yet.
I think he should probably have one.
He hasn't been on since October, I don't think. Maybe November.
Oh, he's dropping the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was on the Christmas Day one, but not individually, I don't think, since maybe late November.
Yeah, the fire's gone.
Yes.
You know, he's just going through the motions now. He's dropping the ball.
Oh, it's ridiculous, isn't it? I'm amateur is what I like. Amateur.
He's let his fans down. He's let the podcast down.
It's ridiculous.
I would say worst of all, he's let himself down. But no, the worst thing is letting the podcast down.
Yeah.
So Mamoon.
Now I won't be picking Adam Mamoon to win the Royal Rumble match.
Yeah, Mamoon, come back for another solo venture and go one-on-one with the Great One once more.
I don't think I'll be able to get Dwayne Johnson on the podcast, but I'll try my absolute best.
We might be fitting him into this one somewhere.
Adam Mamoon versus The Rock. I'd pay for that.
I mean, that's proper babyface versus babyface.
But no, yeah. Literally. I feel like The Rock might have to turn heel because of how much of a face.
That's like Mania 6.
Except I feel like even larger, because how can you get a larger babyface, not only in terms of size, but also just in terms of how much of a nice person they are than Adam Mamoon? You know, is it possible?
Yeah. I mean, this is very true. This is very true. You know, I think Rocky would have to turn heel.
Yep.
He'd
have to align with Roman.
Yeah, Vinnie Mac would be slipping him a chair under the bottom rope, and Rocky would be like proper ready to now add over the head with it.
Sorry, Adam, you just said you got beaten up.
Adam would still win.
Yeah.
Because he would have Miss Piggy as his manager.
He would win in the long run anyway.
He would be distracting the referee, and and would enable sort of Gonzo or Kermit or somebody to run in for the assist.
I feel like that would be in the second match. I feel like he's got to get. I feel like the Rock's got to turn heel in the first match. Then Adam, the all-conquering hero, wins the second match at Mania or
I'm
something.
liking where this is going.
I feel like the Rock can't just come in and be heel straight away. I
No.
feel like he's got to come in as a face, but then realize, sort of like Batista in 2014, he's not the real baby face. The people want Adam Mamoon, and this
Yeah, we're saying that Adam is basically the Daniel Bryan. He's the D Bryan of the podcast.
the diva of
I
the
mean,
podcast.
of course, when he listens to this, because I'm sure he does religiously, he will get absolutely none of these references at all.
No, who? So if he's the Daniel Bryan of the podcast, who am I?
I mean, you're running the show.
John
So-
Cena. It's got to be John Cena.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
not.
I mean,
I'm not Vinnie
you're
Mac.
running
Though. I'm
the
not
show.
Vinnie Mac though. They get the
But
people.
Vinnie
what they
Mac's
want.
not really running the show, is he? So, you're running the show. Your trips.
What? So I'm Adam's worst enemy.
Yeah, your trips. Quite quite appropriately, really,
Yeah.
because if you tried to walk, that's what you would be doing.
Yep. Wow. I need a sip of.
We went there.
I need a sip now.
I mean, anybody that's seen that, Trips and Stone Cold versus
Stone Cold.
Jericho, and
Well, the announce table spot. Oh,
and the other guy we probably shouldn't mention.
the announce table spot. Oh man.
Triple H probably had a bit of sympathy with you in that particular regard.
I'm not surprised. Anyway, though, it was kind of funny because
you could be
because
Trips and Stone Cold, couldn't we?
yeah, it was I'll take that. It was quite funny. It was quite funny though because last night we're filming this on Wednesday, but last night we were on Zoom and Reece Jenkins, who these people won't know, was saying he could beat up Beef. He would win in a fight against Beef. He said that he has more agility than Beef. And I'm saying that Owen Luckhurst would beat up Reece Jenkins.
I mean, I'm sure that at some point in today's podcast, we will probably be talking about a Zoom Links Friends of the Podcast Royal Rumble and who would be most likely to win it. I think we should fit that into our agenda.
Yeah, no, I think that'd be good. So
I would say that I'd probably back Jenkins over Beef because Beef falls into that Adam Mamoon sort of thing. He's too nice and too cuddly. He's not
No.
got
I feel
the-
but I feel like Beef is more of the Kevin Owens. He's gruff.
This is where I was going in my head.
He's gruff on when it comes to fighting, but he's a level father. So
Yeah,
I feel like that might cost him. I feel like
pretty much what I was thinking in my head, except for sort of the alcohol consumption, in which case he's like the APA or Stone Cold.
he's the Stone Cold, isn't he? Stone Cold.
Or the APA. They were quite fond of her.
Yes, I feel like the best way to do this is just to run through the WrestleMania 2021 card.
Oh, but we don't know that. We need to do the Royal Rumble one, surely. That decides the WrestleMania.
Sorry. The Royal Rumble 2021 card, not the WrestleMania 20.
It is the 20th of January, and Alex Kingdom wishes to predict WrestleMania.
So we don't have many matches announced. Again, it is the Rumble, so we've only got a few matches to go off here, which is our two main title matches and also the two Rumble matches. That's all we've got announced so far at time of recording, but we're only recording 4 days before the show, so we can't really do much more. Really.
I mean, it's more than 4 days, isn't it? It's
no. Oh no, it's next Sunday, isn't it? Yeah. I'm being dumb. It's not. When this comes out, it's 6 days. So yeah, we're filming this quite early.
For a second there, I thought I'd booked the wrong Monday off at work.
No.
But yeah, we're a week and a half away from the Rumble itself. But I think from the way Raw and SmackDown are shaping up, we can certainly look at the other major belts.
Yeah, we can
kind of see what might be going on with those.
Yeah. So actually, do you want to do that first? We actually get into the card that we know. Do you want to actually come up with some speculation? Because I know we won't get too many more matches because obviously 2 Rumble, that takes up like 2 hours or more. So we're probably going to get 1 or 2 more matches added to the card itself.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at it, and I'm thinking we're probably going to get a title match with Asuka, maybe against Alexa because of what went down on Raw this week.
Yep.
I was kind of looking at it in terms of initially I was kind of looking at it. Well, are we going to get Asuka and Charlotte against Baszler and Jax? But I can't see that. I think they're going to have 3 of those guys in the Rumble itself. So, I mean and this doesn't mean that Alexa won't feature in the Rumble either. But I think Asuka versus Alexa seems to be shaping up, and that could actually be a really good match because I like what is going on with Alexa's gimmick at the moment.
I could also see Sasha as well getting another match with Carmella, maybe, possibly.
Yeah, which is, I mean,
if you go back a few years ago, it sounds awful, but in modern day, in 2021, Carmella is doing some good work.
Yeah, I mean, that, I'll be honest, if it does go to a rematch, that kind of worries me a little bit because I can see them potentially giving Carmella the belt, and I love Sasha as champion.
Just give Sasha a run as a champion for a decent.
Let her run with it. You know, like Bayley had that belt for freaking 13 months, and you know, let Sasha have a good 6 months of it. Let her at least carry it through to Mania. But yeah, I don't know. They do seem to like to give Sasha these short little title reigns. You know, I don't know why, but
especially because I mean, it's angry for you because you're such a big Sasha Banks fan.
I love it.
I don't feel like you can't not like Sasha Banks. But even when she's a heel, she's got this like charisma, so where it's sort of like, I don't know, sort of like an Eddie Guerrero character. They've also like, which is kind of interesting to say, but it's sort of, no matter whether they're heel or babyface, they're sort of they're kind of snarky enough that you like them either way. Similar to Kevin Owens, actually. If you,
Yeah, I'm with that. There's a lot of charisma around Sasha. I mean, obviously, for people that are of our persuasion, she is stunningly beautiful for a start. But she's just damn cool, really, isn't she? You know,
yeah, I mean, if you're related to Snoop Dogg, you can't really, you know.
Yeah, you know, she's just damn cool, and
Yeah.
you know, she's incredibly talented. And I mean, she's good for storyline, she's good for merch, she's good for ratings. So, you know, she's just money. She is the boss.
Yes, Sasha Banks is money. Yep,
And
there you go.
the Mandalorian's own Sasha Banks.
Yeah, the Mandalorian's own Sasha Banks. I mean, for me, my favorite female wrestler is still Becky Lynch. I think Becky Lynch was amazing, and I think I mean, I always liked her anyway because she was sort of she's like the funny Irish person. But then when she became the man and things like that, that was like the best, one of the best runs ever.
I always like. I mean, there's 2 things that I really like. I like wrestlers that are a bit unconventional, and I like it when actually public opinion just takes sway, and WWE kind of realize they cannot ignore it.
Sort of like Daniel Bryan.
Yeah, with Daniel Bryan, with Stone Cold, and it happened with Becky Lynch. There's just this wave of support for her, and kind of, to a degree, kind of happened by happy accident. If you get it, I think if the whole thing with Nia busting her nose hadn't happened, you kind of like sit there like, would she have become as big as she did? But because she got her nose burst and just carried on and went on, people see that and they see, they like it when wrestlers kind of actually put themselves on the line for their job. And it's Stone Cold, I mentioned just now, is a perfect analogy for that, because obviously, SummerSlam 97, Stone Cold gets his neck broken, finishes the match, even though he's paralyzed for a few seconds.
Yep.
And the crowd just take to him from that moment on.
It's
no looking back.
It's one of the beauties of wrestling, to be honest, because that in those moments it feels real. You know, you feel like you're actually seeing a.
Yeah, I mean, fans know it's scripted, but real fans also know that those guys and girls are legitimately putting themselves on the line
Yeah.
for their craft and what they do. So it's like
Yep.
it's so when you see somebody that does something and is like, well, if that happened to me, I'd be lying on the floor weeping like a baby, and they're completing a wrestling match. It's like brilliant.
Yeah,
Got-
it's incredible stuff.
yeah.
But no, also I think as well, I think it shows well, which is the biggest problem with the performance center shows, and why I kind of dipped out for a few minutes, is that the crowd is wrestling. You can't, obviously, I know we don't have a crowd at the minute in a sense, but the Thunderdome is at least something. But when we were in that performance center, man, it was a rough period to watch because it, you know, I mean, certain sports did suffer. Like I still sometimes seeing football with an empty crowd is a bit of a sometimes a bit of a ooh. But I mean, like for example, I watch Formula One. That's no problem with that crowd because the car noise is what makes it. You know, you rarely hear the crowd anyway. But especially with wrestling, you think of some of the biggest moments either in storytelling or in match history. Like for me, my biggest moment from my childhood was the whole CM Punk pipe bomb thing. The crowd reacted to that. Also, Daniel Bryan when he invaded the ring and it was like the his his whole team of people in wearing the yes stuff. It was incredible, and all that was because of the crowd.
Yeah. But then at the same time, I do feel, and I know we touched on this previously when we discussed it, but I do feel that there are some guys that have really benefited without a crowd.
Bailey being the key.
And
Bailey, I think.
we'll probably discuss quite a few of them during the course of talking through these matches. But yeah, people like Bailey, people like Roman have really just
Kicked off.
been able to kind of run with it and take the ball by the horns and go. And yeah, there might be one or two guys that have struggled without it, but we've actually seen some other people fulfill their full potential.
Yeah.
Um, just because of that confidence boost that not having people on your back every work time you open your mouth gives you.
I think for me the biggest person that struggled possibly could be someone like a Ricochet, because they sort of need the crowd to be in awe of their moves, and when there's no crowd to be like, wow, it was amazing. I feel like Vince doesn't really care. He's like, well, no one.
Yeah, it's very true.
Because
Very true.
Ricochet isn't really a character. He's more of like a Rey Mysterio. I mean, Rey Mysterio had heart and stuff, but he's more of like he shows what he does in the ring rather than does it in promos and storytelling. Is
Right. It's more about his prowess as athleticism. I
yeah.
mean, I would still love to see Ricochet in a tag team with Sheamus and see him amend his name to Rick O'Shea.
Yeah.
And like have a little sort of gold dust, stardust thing going on.
It's sort of weird though because in his theme song as well, because we were talking about this last week, and in his theme song is the song actually goes Rick O'Shea.
Yeah, yeah.
You should just
Like,
say it would still work. You wouldn't have to.
yeah,
You wouldn't have to change the theme song at all. It just goes.
bring back Finlay as a manager, get Hornswoggle as a mascot, and
Then Becky Lynch can join.
yeah, let's bring back some of those good old WWE racial stereotypes.
What was the worst one? Wasn't it Chavo as like a golfer? Was it Chavo?
I mean, Eddie and Chavo both had some. I mean, for about 2 years, Eddie's theme song was "We lie, we cheat, we steal," and it was like, oh my god. But like going back properly to sort of the 80s and 90s, there were some awful sort of stereotypes out there. You had guys like Nikolai Volkov, and because at the time it was the Cold War and it was the USA versus the Soviet Union, you had this guy come out in a big red leotard and he'd sing the Russian national anthem at the start of every match. And I don't even think it was a Russian national anthem. It was just somebody singing something random in a European language so that Americans could all boo it in the stadium. And, I mean, yeah, the WWE has never exactly been progressive when dealing with diversity issues, but I guess we're in a better place now than we have been for a
I
long
mean,
while.
yeah, I mean, there's still some times where Vince finds strange things funny. I mean, going into it, I'm going to say that I thought,
Let's not do the Cena Vince backstage
no, no, no,
impression.
I nope, nope, nope.
Tell
The
me
only
he's not just dead.
the only
Um,
decent thing about that is Booker's reaction. But apart from that, that is
yeah, yeah.
interesting.
And to be fair, Cena's reaction,
Yeah, but
Cena's reaction as well is like, what?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, not seen it, Google it, but don't Google it because it's not worth it.
Especially if you're not over the age of 18. Yeah, because yeah, for sure. Right, so we got Sasha Banks in some kind of match. We got Asuka in some kind of match. I think that might be it. I don't think we're gonna get any feud matches on this card. I'd be surprised.
They tend to play out in the Rumble.
Yeah,
Yeah, they tend to play out in the Rumble. I mean, we might get a tag match thrown in, but
we
it's hard.
might.
It's hard to predict.
The only feud match I can see is possibly an Orton Fiend match again, but again I think Rumble. But then I don't.
Going down in the Rumble.
But I don't see how you could eliminate the Fiend.
I think it's. We'll come on to my thoughts when we get to the Rumble match.
Okay.
But I think that there is a way that they can progress that storyline without actually even having the Fiend in a match potentially.
Awesome. Well, then let's quickly get through the two title matches because for me the easiest one on the card is for the WWE Championship. Drew McIntyre coming in as champion, taking on Goldberg. For me, Drew McIntyre all the way. If Goldberg wins this, I will be so pissed off. I will, yep.
Yeah, I would say exactly the same. Drew all the way. If Goldberg wins this, I will be so pissed off, etc., 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 etc.
It's proven it doesn't work because
I said exactly the same thing when Goldberg took on the Fiend.
But it's proven it doesn't work.
You'd like to think that it's proven it doesn't work, and it has proven that it doesn't work. But is Vince McMahon a guy that learns from his mistakes?
Nope.
So I'm 99% that Drew's going to win that match. But there is just that nagging little thing in there of like, we've been here before where I've been. It would be ridiculously stupid to take the belt off of somebody with such momentum and give it to Goldberg. And they've freaking done it.
Exactly.
I'm just not, I can't rule it out because I've got that horrible little doubt aching away in the back of my mind that for some reason when Goldberg comes into these things, they get silly.
Yeah, exactly. And I think as well, it's like this is proven that it doesn't work. Like nobody cares if Goldberg. I think it works with Lesnar. I think people care about Lesnar, especially the broader appeal. I think, but people know about Goldberg if they're wrestling fans. I mean, look, especially this time of year, you don't need to do it because people will tune in for Mania anyway. People will tune in for Rumble. I don't get it. I think people don't want this anymore. I think the backlash is awful. If Goldberg wins, I mean, if Drew wins, that'd be amazing for Drew in a sense because Goldberg has essentially been seen as undefeatable, except if your name's Braun Strowman. So I mean, it'd be a great win for Drew, but it's just that worry of, like, I'm not against Drew dropping the belt. Just don't drop it to Goldberg. Drop it to someone that needs.
Drop it to somebody that's going to progress. You know, drop it to somebody that's actually going to have their career taken forward by it. You know, last year, they had the Fiend drop it to Goldberg because they had certain plans for WrestleMania, and then it all fell through, and they essentially killed the Fiend's push for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I just you'd really hope they're not going to do that again. Really hope they're not going to do that again.
You'd like to think, wouldn't you? Especially based off of last time and all that. But yeah, so Drew for me all the way. I don't even like the build up to this. The build's been absolutely abysmal. Essentially on Legends Night, Goldberg came out and said, "Drew, you disrespect the Legends. I'm not asking for a title shot, but I'm asking for a title shot."
Yeah, I must admit, I must have I must have missed the bit where Drew was disrespecting legends, to be honest, because I was literally just sat there thinking, what is this crazy old man talking about?
It's like, go back to the home. Like, what are you doing? It's like,
It's like what? I expected his next line to be, "Who stole my pills?" But it I yeah, it's been horribly put together, and yeah, a part of the reason for the rubbish build up is because obviously Drew's had to isolate and do his thing, but yeah, it's been a horrible build up because essentially it's a match that shouldn't be happening. There are other guys that you'd be wanting to see Drew defend against, where you can actually tell good stories and progress storylines rather than Goldberg. Stick him in there, stick him up against Sheamus, stick him up against Keith Lee.
yep.
Give him a match against Miz and Morrison. It's straight off the top of my head, there's three things you could do there. I mean, give him a match against Randy. So many things you could do there.
Yep. But it's just just silly, and it makes no sense. I mean, for example, let's go on to a much better show at the minute, SmackDown, which has been week to week one of the most entertaining wrestling shows. SmackDown is kind of in that good area again, like when the brand split first happened back in 2016, and it was on fire every week. It's back to that level now, I think, for me, where every week there is at least something on that show that you're looking forward to. At the minute, it's anything with Roman. I think Roman's great, for sure.
For me, SmackDown's always got more chance of hitting home for me because it's a 2-hour show. I think that Raw struggles with the third hour. It always has.
Yeah.
But SmackDown always feels a bit quicker, a bit punchier, a bit more quirky.
Yep. No, I'm with you on that. But let's quickly move into SmackDown, and then the Universal Championship match between Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens, this time in a last man standing affair. But by the way, this feud's been amazing. Obviously, on last week's show, we weren't sure whether it would be Adam Pearce in this position, facing the. But no, it turns out that it is KO. Look, I feel bad for KO because I really want him to. I want him to the Rumble winner and win the belt, but I don't think we're gonna get that now.
Neither do I. I mean, there's always a possibility of a guy doing double duty, but not after a last man standing match.
Yeah.
So a last man standing match is not going to be over quickly, and the whole point of it is that somebody's leaving that with kayfabe night-ending injury, so he's not going to come out an hour later. Even if it's at number 30, he's not going to come out an hour later
and be all right again.
Sling four geezers over the top rope when he's been down for a 10 count after a match with Roman Reigns.
It's tough. It's tricky. But yeah, no, I think this one is Roman for sure, and Roman's going to win this again.
Yeah, it's hard to see him dropping to anybody before.
I think Raymond James Stadium might be where he finally drops that belt to somebody.
And I mean, it's not necessarily not going to be against KO at Mania, but KO's not going to win the Rumble.
Yeah. But this is going to be a great match. I still feel KO will be up against it, for sure. I think he will be in trouble. I think we're going to see KO be up against it here with Jey Uso, with Heyman. They're going to try and. I really hope that Owens gets someone to fight his corner a little bit. I know that sounds weird, but you feel at this point KO would have got onto the fact that every match he has, they're going to come out and batter him. Like,
to be fair, they might be shaping up to that a little bit. You might see one or two guys come out and give him a bit of a hand.
That's what I'm thinking.
Because I mean, going back to SmackDown on Friday, sort of Cesaro and Shinsuke were both making noises. So you might see one or both of them give him a little bit of a helping hand at some point, but I'd still think that this is Roman.
Yeah, Roman's going to win. For me, easily, I think Roman's going to win. I think both of these title matches are quite easy to predict. Fingers crossed. I would say they're easy to predict, but you never know what Vince McMahon's like, and you could just put Goldberg with the Universal title. I hope not. I really hope not. But
I mean, the other thing that we could see,
it's Miz.
potential cash in again.
The Miz.
Um,
I would love the Miz to be champion. I would love them, and I mean that honestly. Like, I love.
Honestly, I would not mind Drew dropping the belt to the Miz. I would not mind Drew dropping the belt to the Miz. I think Miz holding the title for a couple of months until Mania and then Drew winning it back, no problem with that at all.
Or even if Drew doesn't win it back for a little bit, we go to someone else. Maybe we go to someone else on Raw that's been doing right well, like a Keith Lee, getting his hands on Miz and win that belt. Would be nice, or even anyone else. But yeah, I think Miz being champion's great. I just don't. I want Drew's run to end eventually before we get bored of it. Sort of like, sort of like.
But I want him to be in front of a proper crowd with the belt before he drops it.
Which I mean,
it's tough.
Do you think we're going to get any people at Raymond James Stadium on April the whatever it is?
Possibly. But I mean, it's just like it just feels really rough that the guy's had the belt for the best part of a year, and he's not actually had it in a packed out stadium.
Yeah,
because I think he's, given his history, I think he deserves that moment. That's not obviously to say that you won't win it again at a later point, even if he does drop it. But yeah, I think there's a distinct possibility of some Miz Morrison shenanigans in that match.
I think for sure. I think what they might do is, I think we might see this one go a bit longer than your average Goldberg matches because, Goldberg
Drew's got a lot of resilience.
Drew's got a lot of resilience. I think either Drew wins really quickly or they go like 5 minutes, which I know sounds like not long at all, but for a Goldberg match, that's quite long. And then you see at the end, Drew's quite tired, and Miz and Morrison do their thing, cash in 1, 2, 3. Miz is your champion.
Goldberg clearly doesn't get paid by the hour.
No. So right now it's time for Rumble matches, and I'm actually going to go to the women's one because this is the one where I don't have any clue of who can really win this yet. Also, I would ask, what is your favorite women? Actually, no, I'm going to ask, what is your favorite women's Royal Rumble moment of the two we've had? Is it 2, 3 so far?
Well, we have 3 so far.
3.
Yeah, we had Asuka, then
Charlotte.
Charlotte.
Yeah, Charlotte is the 3.
Yeah,
What's your favorite moment of the 3 Rumbles that we've had so far? For me, it's going to be Becky Lynch coming out and just.
It's hard to not say that, but actually, purely because you've said Becky Lynch, and not to disagree, but I think something else needs a little bit of a highlight as well. I would say actually Asuka winning the first Women's Rumble, and just the fact that we had the first Women's Royal Rumble and it main evented a Royal Rumble, and it was like, yeah, it was like another step in the right direction for the women's revolution. And actually having Asuka rather than sort of a diva or.
Yeah, because it was between, I think, Asuka and Nikki Bella sort of the last 2, wasn't it?
Yeah. So having a proper talented actual wrestler.
No offense to Nikki Bella.
Sent out. Well, yeah, no offense to Nikki Bella. I'm sure she wouldn't take offense if she's clearly a subscriber and regular fan of the podcast.
Yeah.
We get fan mail from her on a weekly basis. Please stop sending us your pants. But she herself would admit that she's not as technically gifted as Asuka is. So, for me, Asuka winning the first Women's Rumble was actually really important because it sent out all the right messages about where WWE wanted to go with its women's divisions from that point onwards.
Yeah. And I'm actually a big Nikki Bella fan. I think especially in her last run with the belt in like 2016, 2017, I think she became really cool. She obviously like trained and stuff like that. Right.
You look at development. You got to love the Bella Twins from where they started after where they actually went to.
Apart from yes, I think they started on an upward. I think the lowest point was I wish you died in the womb, and then from there, it was
Yeah, but I think anybody. I mean, in terms of wrestling ability, in terms of technical ability, anybody that works on their game and improves, you've got to have a lot of love for it. You know, there's the same reason that people love Mark Henry, because Mark Henry came in, he realized that he had limitations, he worked on those limitations, worked hard, and improved.
yeah. Yeah, sorry, I just saw something in our group chat that really annoyed me.
Ooh, I'm now going to have a little look and see what that was.
Oh, because we're on the day of Trump's Trump leaving, and he made some changes at last second. So one of them is social services providers can discriminate based on sexual orientation. Adoption
I mean,
agencies can turn away same-sex couples. Homeless shelters can turn away queer teenagers.
I mean, it's all repealable though, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna repeat the words that young Elijah has used to describe this, to describe former President Trump. But they're words that I've never heard come out of such a clean living boy's mouth before. But yeah, I mean, it's all repealable. Biden's already started repealing certain things that Trump's done. So it's I wouldn't worry too much about it.
Exactly. Back to the much lighter things of a Royal Rumble. Right. So before I go into winners and things like, do you think, and if you could name any surprise entrants? Obviously, we're living in the world of COVID, so I don't know who they can get. But they did have Legends Night, so I assume they can kind of get a few people if they need them. So who would you say would you like to see pop up?
I mean, we could have a few legends popping up in terms of the women's match. You're probably looking at the kind of guys that they've had come out before. So maybe your Trish's, maybe your Beth Phoenix's, possibly guys that have got connections to others within the company. I think that we may see a big surprise, a big surprise return.
Do tell.
I was thinking through potential winners last night, and I just wrote a name right down at the bottom. And I'm fully prepared for you to hit me with some nerd shit and tell me why this isn't going to happen. But I just wrote Ronda.
No, that can happen.
Is it time? Is it time for the Rowdy One to appear? Because Ronda versus Sasha or Ronda versus Asuka.
It's got to be Ronda. It's got to be Ronda versus Sasha, right? I mean, that's just a.
You'd have thought so.
That's a dream, and also with SmackDown being on Fox, they probably want Ronda on Fox.
She's been away the best part of 2 years.
Yeah, Jesus.
So it's that's what I'm thinking. But then the other thing, and I was thinking about this for 1 or 2 in the men's match as well. I'm just thinking, would WWE effectively use that up in the Thunderdome, or would they wait until they're in front of the crowd?
I think that's what they're hoping for. I think that's what they're hoping for Raymond James, isn't they? With it being in Raymond James.
Yeah,
I think they wouldn't hook out a massive stadium if they didn't plan to have some form of crowd there.
This is true. So I'm just wondering if the kind of big surprises that you'd normally get at a Rumble match, we may not see so many of them because it's in the Thunderdome.
I think you'll still get the return. I think you'll still get the returns because then
you could kind of build up to Mania and give yourself a huge box office by having Ronda come into the Rumble.
Yep.
Clean house and win the bugger.
No, I can definitely see that happening. Yeah, I think like you said, Trish. We're not going to see any of the Bellas, especially Nikki, because she gave birth not that long ago, so she ain't getting back in the ring. I wouldn't be surprised if you could perhaps see.
Nikki, still stop tending his pants.
I feel like you're gonna get to see a better, maybe possibly more of a modern one, sort of like a Caitlyn is possible. Maybe like a Michelle McCool, someone like that. Obviously, so that would be kind of nice. Obviously, I mean, the dream return is AJ Lee, right? It's not going to happen, but that would be like the dream. But only because she is legitimately one of the best female wrestlers of the modern era for sure. She was. I mean, they credit obviously the Four Horsewomen for correct reasons, but I think AJ was definitely like kind of like the first way on the way up for the women's era wrestling.
I mean, my dream return would be Paige, but again, that's not going to happen.
Paige is so good as well. She's such a shame.
Yeah, I love Paige. Absolutely.
Who doesn't? I mean, yeah, she did a bit of dark water WWE anyway because she's sort of gone, F it, I'm going to still stream on Twitch even though they've said we're not allowed to. So she's kind of gone against the grain there.
Always been a little bit of a rebel, hasn't she? It's always been a little bit of a. Doesn't take kindly to being told what to do. This Paige.
No, not at all. Yep. For sure. I don't know. For me, so is your pick for the winner of the Rumble, Ronda? Are you going to go that far?
Yeah, I mean, I've got it down there. But I've written about half a dozen names, to be honest, because I've written about half a dozen names for both.
I'm going to go Carmella for me, I think.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, Ronda, if she shows, I'm looking at Ronda. I think Carmella's an interesting prospect, very possibly. I think you have to give some serious consideration to Bianca Belair.
Or Shayna Baszler.
Or Shayna Baszler, yeah. But again, I don't know. See, I was kind of looking at that in terms of the tag belts, but then Charlotte seems to be going off in another sort of direction feud-wise at the moment. So it could be that Shayna comes back into the singles picture. Shayna versus Asuka would be a decent match, actually.
Yep.
Can't rule Bayley out either, because Sasha Bayley at Mania, we'd all watch that again.
Yeah, Bayley would be great. I'd actually like to see Bayley Asuka, if Asuka does hold on to that belt, I'd love to see Bayley versus Asuka actually.
And I just made a little note also of Alexa, mainly because I like Alexa. I can't really see her winning the Rumble, but you could have some fiendish shenanigans in there, but I think we'll also see some feuds progress in the match itself. So you'll probably see some progression of the Charlotte versus Lacey feud. And you might see a bit of a progression with the gimmick between Billie Kay and the Riot Squad. She could cause a couple of eliminations completely accidentally there, but yeah, I think as usual, there's maybe a pool of sort of 4 or 5 that could that could win it.
But John, anyone can win the Royal Rumble match.
Well,
anyone. That's what they say. Anyone's got an equal opportunity to win the Royal.
I mean, me and you aren't going to win out.
I don't know. Do you want to quickly shoot to Florida?
It's still 11. I mean, we're still 11 days away.
How big's the? I think we can get
global pandemic. So all that we really need to do we need to persuade America to accept a couple of entrants from this plague-ridden isle. We then have to persuade Vince McMahon that 2 guys, that somebody that has never wrestled before in their life, has a serious disability, is 43 years old, very much out of shape, and swears every time he's on a podcast, let alone on live television, is a viable option to win the Royal Rumble.
I think if we
McMahon is probably mad enough to go with that.
I think if we let Sparky win the Rumble match.
Yeah, Sparky. doesn't really get the rules of the Rumble, so he'd probably jump over the top rope himself. He'd just think it.
One of the biggest self eliminations of all time.
Yeah, he'd see me get thrown out and he'd leap off on top of me. Although he might leap out under the bottom rope and, just never be eliminated. He's just giving me a little grumble in his sleep there, like, what are you talking about?
So yeah, there we go then. So we
anybody can win the Royal Rumble, except they can't.
Otherwise, booking would be out the window.
The good thing about having two brands with two different sets of belts is you've got more options than you used to have.
Yeah.
Whereas before it'd be it might be one or two guys. At least this time you've got 5 or 6 potentially.
I do apologise. The weather has really got me very sleepy today. It's one of those days where the weather's been so crap and it always makes me a bit tired, a bit tight, and a bit horrible.
Talking about the Rumble, man. What's your energy?
My energy, yeah. No, I need to take my vitamins or vitamins.
Take your vitamins, drink your milk, and say your prayers.
Right, let's move on to the male Royal Rumble match. And first of all, I'll ask you something I did before. Give me your favourite Royal Rumble match from a man. There's a lot more to choose from here, obviously.
It feels okay. I'm going to do one for overall match, and then I might do a couple separately for moments.
Yep.
Overall match, you can't say better than Royal Rumble 92. Belts on the line. Flair comes in from number 4. Wins the whole bloody thing and wins his first WWF championship, as it was at the time. It's the first time that the stakes have been that high. This is early 90s WWF, so like the height of their hype, the height of their power, and it's just got everything. It's like the passing of the torch from Hogan, because famously, when he was eliminated, Hogan was actually booed by the crowd. When he was eliminated, Hogan was cheered by the crowd, in spite of the fact he was meant to be a face. So on sort of video releases and DVD releases, etc., they dubbed it over with boos. So it's the first time that sort of we started to see a step change in Hogan and how he was. The first time his crown started to slip a little bit, maybe. As I say, 30th player in the game winning the Rumble, and it's just some of the names in there. You've got Sid Justice, you've got Shawn Michaels, you've got Bret Hart, Macho Man Randy Savage.
Ooh, yeah.
Sergeant Slaughter. Lots of other guys that are dead. British Bulldog. It's just insanely good.
Yeah. Obviously, I'm going to go for a much more modern Rumble. That's just because, again, I think experiences as well kind of let insight into it. So for me, I'm actually going to go with a Rumble which has got a lot of and I'm going to go with the Rumble. It's not my favorite Rumble, but I have to say it's probably the best Rumble in terms of match that since I've been watching, and that is actually the Men's Rumble 2018 with Shinsuke Nakamura winning the Royal match, because I remember that match being very, very good, but also that final 6, I think it was, with Balor, Roman, and Shinsuke versus Rey Mysterio, Cena, and Orton. Again, a similar passing of the torch type thing of this is the new era. That's kind of like the old era. It's like Ruthless Aggression versus the modern era. Really, really good stuff. At that point, everybody wanted to see Shinsuke Nakamura take on AJ Styles at WrestleMania, no matter how poor that went in the end. But everyone wanted to see that, and it was just a really good match. Everyone wanted to see Shinsuke win. It was just an incredible match from start to finish. Like you said, I just riddled off 6 names there, but there were so many great more other ones in the match. But I'm also I'm going to do my Royal Rumble moment, and I'm going to go for last year. Actually, last year's Rumble match with essentially with Brock Lesnar. You're gonna. I think I'm going to go with the Brock. I know what you're going for, so I won't steal it. But Brock Lesnar, and there's a segment of this Rumble match where he's just going through people one by one, and then eventually I think at one point there's 3 people, so there's Ricochet and 2 others that almost get him, but they can't do it until Drew McIntyre comes in within seconds and just claymores him out the ring. Probably the biggest moment of that's kind of the start of Drew McIntyre being seen as this big star, and obviously, he would go on to win. And
Brilliant. I mean, it is brilliant. I mean, yeah, for moments. I mean, one of mine is in that same match, and you do know exactly what it is, but it was kind of internet spoiled a little bit before, so we sort of knew it was probably happening.
yeah,
But still, that crowd noise when the lights go and Edge's music starts was just something else. And to see Edge return to a WWE ring after everything that he'd been through in terms of injuries, etc., was just wonderful. And for me, it was like I was convinced that Drew was going to win the Rumble, but then Edge came out, and I was like, "Oh, they might actually go another way here." I mean, they didn't, but yeah, it was a killer moment for me. Couple of others similar to the Edge return, another surprise return. 2008, John Cena,
Madison Square Garden.
He'd been out with injury. Everybody was expecting him to be out until after Mania. He recovered months early, and just again, they actually managed to keep that one a secret. And so when that kind of started to hit, it was just like the crowd reaction was just like, holy shit. It's and I'm not a big Cena fan. I being, above the age of 10. But
I like John Cena. I think he's really cool.
yeah, but you were below the age of 10 at that time.
Oh yeah, but I wasn't watching at that time.
Yeah. Well, good. It was like 4 o'clock in the morning. It was past your bedtime. But but even I was like, yeah, I'm down with that. I'm happy with that. Going back a year, Shawn and Taker as the final 2 in 2007. It's probably the best final 2 we've ever had in a Rumble match, because they wrestled each other for about 5 minutes, and there were so many sort of near eliminations, and then in the end they did a callback to the 95 Rumble with Shawn and Diesel, but it went the other way and Taker eliminated him, and I'm just a huge Shawn mark. So
yeah. I think every wrestling fan must appreciate Shawn Michaels in some capacity, right?
Yeah. I mean, even the staunchest Bret Hart fans now appreciate that Shawn had something to give, and had a lot of talent.
Yep. So
may not be the most delightful of human beings, but certainly wasn't back in the day. But brilliant. And last shout out for anybody that may not have seen it, go back and watch it. Royal Rumble 2000, Viscera eliminating Taka Michinoku. He literally presses him about 2 meters into the sky, and Taka face plants onto the mat outside. On the night in question, WWE replayed it about 6 or 7 or 8 times, with Jerry Lawler laughing every time because it just looked worse every time. It turned out the guy had actually broken his shoulder or something when he landed.
Oh, Jesus.
But yeah, go and look at Viscera eliminating Taka Michinoku, and like literally he just face plants onto the mat. You can even hear the slap of his cheek hitting the mat, because like he just can't put his hand out to protect himself.
Yeah, I think as well another Rumble that I have to mention, which is when I was watching, was some in the Rumble 2010, which is when Edge also returned from injury, believe it or not, and he ended up winning this one. But also some really good storytelling. This Rumble started off with CM Punk because he was full on with the Straight Edge Society at this point, giving his sermon in the ring. But then later on in the match, it would turn into Shawn Michaels in the build up to this Rumble was becoming desperate because he wanted to face the Undertaker one more time. He knew that was his destiny because obviously they had a great match last year. Michaels lost. He was like, if I get one more, I can win. And that led to Michaels eliminating Triple H. At this point, there was still DX. the reunited DX. It was a bit crap, but still they were DX. He eliminated them, but still couldn't get the job done. Edge wins the Rumble and then would go on to face Chris Jericho at Mania. It was a really good Rumble, I think, as well. Same thing. Great entrance, all that kind of stuff.
I mean, anything around that sort of 2007 to 2010 period works for me because I've got two favourite feuds in all of wrestling, and it's Shawn Taker in the run up to Shawn's retirement, which took about 3 years for them to run that feud out, and it's Regal versus Jericho in the early 2000s, just for the pure comedy value of it. But yeah, so anything that's got Shawn and Taker in there doing their thing is just nothing short of brilliant for me.
Understandably so. So let's move on to this Rumble. Any surprise entrance you think we'll see?
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about this. I mean, obviously, there's somebody that we've not seen for a little while who's still in the contract. Again, it's a question of, are they going to waste him on a lack of crowd? So, are we going to see Brock Lesnar? I don't think so, but could happen.
Could happen.
It could happen. I mean, if he shows up, he's winning the bloody thing. Because I can't see them having two Rumbles in a row and losing them both. But yeah, that could happen.
Let's not hope that Lesnar wins, because then if Goldberg wins the title, we're gonna have Goldberg versus Lesnar again.
I mean, we could actually see him show up in some capacity in one of the title matches. He could actually come out and cost Goldberg the title shot, couldn't he?
That would be great.
It'd be interesting if it happens, because how do you work Lesnar with Heyman on the other brand?
Exactly. Well, to be honest,
Heyman's pretty redundant on the other brand.
But also, I think we've realized Lesnar doesn't really need Heyman. Although Heyman's a great talker, Heyman's really useful. But actually, when Lesnar spoke, especially in recent years, every time he speaks, there's impact. He doesn't need to come out and say much.
Yeah, and I think at the moment he's another guy who would benefit from a lack of crowd in terms of mic skills and talking. Just having that silent audience there with him, taking in every word he says. So yeah, we could potentially see Lesnar. In terms of whether we see anyone else,
my pick for my surprise entrant is going to be a member of the Undisputed Era. I think we're going to get at least one. I don't know who they will be, but I reckon we'll get some kind of Undisputed Era thing. I wouldn't be surprised if we see even maybe a Finn Balor pop up as well again. Because I think for their surprises, they're definitely going to lean heavy on the NXT side this year.
Yeah, and I mean, I love Balor to bits, so if he does come into the Rumble, it'll be great. But that could happen. That could happen.
Yeah, but I don't think you're going to get too many surprise entries this year because, like you said, lack of crowd, but also COVID, getting people in, be tough. But now is the big question: who do you think is going to win the Male Royal Rumble match for 2021? There's a few. I've got my pick.
I mean, I've gone through a few names here. I'm going to scratch the top one off the list because I literally wrote KO. He's not going to be in it. I thought about Randy, but I don't think Randy's going to be winning it because I think we're going to see the feud with the Fiend progress.
Yep.
I've got Sheamus quite high on my list.
He'd be good.
I think Drew Sheamus would be a very good feud. I know there was a rumor doing the round, so I meant to write Rollins, but I've written Rollins, which I think probably his Dutch cousin or something. I personally wouldn't want to see it, but
You're not a Rollins fan?
I know there's been talk. I mean, if he faces Roman, then we get face Seth. I just think that Seth's been working so much better as a heel.
Yep.
And
I'd
you know,
agree.
it's only a couple of years ago that he won the thing. Give somebody else a go.
I would agree.
And then I was just thinking as a result of last week's SmackDown, and I kind of wrote Cesaro down because when you're sort of when somebody's getting a bit of screen time, and you see them sort of talking about the Rumble and how they're going to go and fight, then you kind of had to consider them.
Yep.
And you know, so I've kind of out of nowhere really just thought they could just give it to Cesaro again because he's a company guy. He's been with them for quite a while.
Yep.
And yeah,
I think that'd be a great show.
It would. It's a possibility.
By the way, for those viewers who are watching on YouTube, I just want to clarify: I didn't pick my nose and eat it. I had a small nosebleed earlier, and essentially I wiped my nose and I had a bit of blood on my finger, so I just went to get that off. I didn't literally. I'm not a dirty bastard that just picked my nose, went, "No, yeah, it's like that."
He's not eating bogies. He's drinking blood. You heard it first here. Alex Kingdom is a vampire.
Yeah. What can I say? All right, my pick's going to surprise you because I don't think you mentioned it. I'm going to go D-Bry, Daniel Bryan on SmackDown. I think Daniel Bryan's going to win. I think Daniel Bryan versus Roman would be great. I think what a person to beat Roman other than the man himself, Daniel Bryan, because Daniel Bryan, it'd be great for him to have a WrestleMania Roman and actually get a run. I think obviously nothing will beat that original moment, but for him to win at WrestleMania and then go on like at least a 6-month title run, which he never got really. He got it as a heel, but he never got that babyface Daniel Bryan WWE Championship run, which I think we all want to see before he properly retires.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go Daniel Bryan for me. Another candidate I have though is Sami Zayn. I think Sami Zayn could be a surprise winner of the Rumble.
Yeah, you could see a bit of a sort of sneak win. That said, if Sami wins the Rumble, I think we will see a title change before Mania. Because I can't see Sami versus a heel Roman at Mania.
Unless Sami actually just turns face in the Rumble match, like he comes out one.
It could happen.
I love heel Sami Zayn, but I want to see that babyface underdog from the underground.
I mean, I don't get me wrong, I would love to see Sami Zayn win the Rumble as a heel, because if that happens, it means that we're getting Owens as a champ as a face.
Oh. Oh. That'd be immense.
So that would be like, so yeah, I would be all over heel Sami winning the Rumble, because it means that either on Sunday night or at some point between Sunday and Mania, KO's taking the belt.
Yeah, that'd be great. I think that'd be amazing. Yeah. But no, I think D-Bry is my safe option. I think also a surprise person we might send to the Rumble. I just thought about Shane McMahon. Here comes the money. I don't think he'll win it, by the way. I'm not saying Shane, but I think that would be a cool. But I think in a Rumble capacity, people won't dislike it. I think they'll find it cool. If we see like a coast to coast or two, he gets thrown out. It's a bit of fun. But yeah, so I also want to clarify just for the listeners. So next week on the show, John won't be back on the actual episode of the podcast, but me and John will work out a time we can record a YouTube video for the YouTube channel where we will talk about the Rumble, how our predictions went. It will be a much shorter thing, like an hour and a half. It won't be like an hour and a half long. We'll just rattle through, talk about what we thought about it, and
we'll have a little sort of little dust up of everything that's gone on.
because we thought about it last week. We didn't think about this beforehand, but we thought about it last week. We're like, oh, we've done like predictions, but then if we don't tell anyone what we thought, it's sort of anticlimactic. I suppose we have to do the same with Mania, really. I guess.
Yeah.
Um,
I'd be completely up for that. I'd be completely up for that.
yeah.
I mean, but in terms of surprise winners, one other thing that I was going to say, and like, this is never going to happen in a million years, and it's complete dream booking, fantasy world booking. But you know how Roman keeps calling himself the tribal chief and the head of the table?
Yep.
Does anybody have a right to say that when they're related to The Rock?
Would you love The Rock?
How
It's
brilliant
not
would it be if The Rock comes down into the Rumble
in the Thunderdome.
Yeah, that would be wasted. Like, you're talking about wasted on no crowd. The Rock comes down, and I'm feeling like Jonathan Ross in The Masked Singer now. The Rock comes down and just number 30 turfs the last couple of blokes out,
and the crowd goes mild.
Yeah, and he's gonna face off against Roman at Mania. You know, I mean, it's never going to happen, but you know, it's just something that, you know, it would tie into this whole tribal chief thing.
I think that will happen down the line. I don't think it will happen.
Yeah, I mean,
I'd love it to. I'd love it. Don't get me wrong. I would love it, but I just don't think so.
It's like a little Kevin Hart coming out as his manager.
Kevin Hart versus Paul Heyman.
Yeah. It'd be awesome. It would be absolutely awesome.
Oh, awesome stuff. And like I said, so you can kind of count this as a part one to a YouTube video that'll be coming out soon with me and John talking about the Royal Rumble.
Who do you think would win a Zoom Links / Friends of the Podcast Royal Rumble then? If all of your, you know, if all of your sort of big hitters like myself, yourself, Owen, Beaker, Luckhurst.
I feel like we need some surprise entrants as well.
Adam Moon.
We need some surprise entrants.
Fan favorite Gallifrey Forever 97.
Yeah. That's the bookies fit. Is he a bit like John Cena now? People getting bored. No, they're not getting bored of this. But you know, is he? You know, but so for me, straight away, I think Mamoon. Size advantage. Then I would go Owen, because you know he'd probably come out at number 30 to just claim it all. But yeah, also we need to figure out some surprise entrants who would appear in the Zoom Links.
Yeah, I mean I mean, see, I was coming at it from a far more logical perspective. I was coming at it from the perspective of only two of us know anything about wrestling, and you can't walk. And just backing myself, but you know,
I've seen enough. I've seen enough Hornswoggle matches to know even at a disadvantage, I could probably still win.
You could just wrap you could do. Oh, was it 99 or two? It was. I think it was 99 when Road Dogg just wrapped himself around a bottom turnbuckle and was in there for about 3/4 of an hour.
Yep. That would sum it up perfectly. I wouldn't know that, to be honest. But no, I'm sure I think me or you would be a great. Would Sparky be in the ring with you?
He comes everywhere with me.
Is you not putting him in danger though by putting him in a wrestling ring?
Nobody would hurt him. But I mean, we would.
What if other people? What if people are brawling and next thing like it's trodden his paw or something?
But we would have a bit of an advantage, because obviously we would both have to go over the top rope, and both feet and all four paws would have to touch the mat outside.
Exactly. So I do know what I'm going to go with.
If I got knocked out and Sparky stayed in the ring as an extension of me, I'd just be able to climb back in under the rope and do a sort of Austin 97.
Well, there we go. It's conclusive. John Cook would win the Zoom Links Timeless Podcast co-host Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
I think, especially with those slips, is that him and Sparky count as one entrant, and therefore all 6 sort of limbs have to hit the floor.
Yeah.
I think, but I think at that point it's like an unbeatable thing, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, but I think you know that there's things that we'd all you know, there's things that we'd all sort of be waiting for in that match though. So you know, Beef's entry where he stands up on all 4 turnbuckles and just drinks a rum at each turnbuckle would be nothing short of sensational.
Yeah, no, that would be insane. What
Yeah.
music would everyone have? We need to pick everyone's music now.
Um, right. I mean, obviously, Mr. Luckhurst would have a bit of Virilin.
Yep.
You know, it's maybe not Virilin, but maybe sort of something a bit more of a sort of upbeat war song. You know,
Yep.
um, possibly your theme from Dad's Army or something like
No, yeah, I'd agree.
that. I'd let you choose your own.
Um,
I think Beef would have some early to mid 90s dance rave shit.
yeah, I think I've got to have Roland. I know it's obviously been used, but I think I have to like steal one from the Undertaker's book here and take a bit of Limp Biscuit and
Go with it, yeah, man. Go with it. I'd have the one and only by Chesney Hawks.
I'll pretend to know what that is. I'm sorry.
I mean, I mean, it's only the greatest pop song ever.
Was it? Is it the I am the one and only?
That's the one.
Okay, yeah, no, I do know. Okay, but yeah.
Yeah, that's the one.
Sort of like a Bobby Roode Glorious type vibe going on there.
It is a little bit sort of a bit like yeah. It's a bit sort of it's along those lines. It's along those lines. It's a bit of a sort of Bobby Roode Glorious or the old Billy Gunn.
I'm an ass man.
Oh no, I don't know the follow up to Ass Man.
Yeah, the follow up.
Yeah, the follow up to Ass Man after he quit with the Ass Man gimmick, and I think it was even the same singer, but it was like again it was oh I'm brilliant. It's like look at all that I've got. It was good. It was good.
Will it beat the X Factor theme though? Do you have X Factor? Do you have X?
Most
The best thing about that is they just took a song and they put the letter X in front of the word factor in the song. So the word is I got that factor, but they remix it so I got that X factor.
Yeah, I mean this is a stable whose best performer in my view was Albert. You know, which says a lot about X Factor. You know, I mean X Pac. I had my views on Mr. Waltman. They aren't very positive.
No,
And who was the other guy? Just Incontinent, was it or something?
just incredible, was it?
Oh yeah, well, I prefer my version.
Just incontinent.
Just incompetent, just imbecilic.
Yeah, just incredible.
Just incredible was the other one. Yeah, yeah, but you know, I mean, I regularly forget that they exist. That that they existed. I still miss Nexus.
We walk alone in
Yeah,
the unknown. Love them.
yeah. I love Nexus.
Especially the first version.
Cena not dropping the belt to Barrett in 2010 will forever be an injustice to me.
Right. What music would Adam and Moon have? They have to say something Bowie. Something.
I mean, we're either going Bowie or we're going Muppets.
It's not even. I feel like the Muppets just sent the wrong message. You can't really come up to Rainbow Connection when you're not the better people in the wrestling ring.
I mean, you could technically walk down to the ring to halfway up the stairs, but I mean, like literally, it's about going on a journey up or downhill. But yeah, I mean, we're probably more likely looking at Bowie. Then are there sort of many Bowie songs that would be suitable as wrestling intros.
I guess like something like Starman maybe because it'll get everyone singing.
Well, yeah, but like you want something with that proper. I mean, actually, Ziggy and the Spiders from Mars is probably the one because you want something with that sort of, yeah, Ziggy Stardust, because you want something with that sort of opening guitar intro just to hook the crowd the minute he's walking out.
Yep.
So yeah, we're probably looking at Ziggy Stardust because like most of the Bowie stuff kind of starts with quite a soft intro, whereas you want someone with that first off.
Yeah, right. Next up, Jenkins, Evanescence. I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't
it's
know.
going to be some goth shit in it.
What up, Mr. Gallifrey from 97? I guess his own intro music.
Evanescence, MCR. Actually, I quite like MCR. Could well be MCR.
Yeah.
But yeah, one of these bands that he keeps banging on about, I switch off the minute he talks about them.
What about Marshall, Gallifrey from 97? Surely his own intro music.
I mean, it would be his own intro music, accompanied by a choir of his fans singing along. You know, he'd have, you know, it would be his own intro music, but it would be like, you remember when the Undertaker used to come out with those sort of fire-bearing disciples?
Yeah, the
Like,
druids, the
he'd have his
druids.
own sort of druidic disciples coming along behind him.
Yep. So we've got left Richard,
outside invasion from the crowd.
Richard or the Spice Girls.
Spice Girls or Kylie?
It was the two. Then Elijah would be AJR. Kieran would be the Wiggles.
I mean, I'd have Down Under by Men at Work.
That would also that would also work. Fair play.
But you know, I mean, this is wrestling. Wrestling's full of these racial stereotypes. Racial stereotypes.
Who's Rachel? Why is she stereotyping?
Rachel stereotypes. I think I went out with her once.
I think I had a one night stand with her.
Yeah, I think what you say, stand. I think I went out with her once. I think she was actually Greek. I think it's pronounced stereotypes, but I've done it. I've killed him. Ladies and gentlemen, Alex Kingdom is dead. He's died of laughter.
That's how you were. That's how you eliminate me for the Rumble match. You killed me with laughter and then just stomped me over the top rope.
Yeah.
Who was your winner and going to WrestleMania?
But yeah, you know, sort of, it's wrestling. They love these racial stereotypes. So I would have him, Man at Work, coming out, shorts, one of those sort of corked hat things that they don't wear, jar of Vegemite.
Yep, that's perfect.
I mean, that said, you know, he's ginger. He's not a very stereotypical Australian.
Also, he's very posh, sort of English voiced as well.
Yeah, not a very stereotypical Australian.
Yeah, right. What about Macaulay? I've got to be honest, I don't know much about Macaulay's music taste. I know he's a Sam Smith fan, but there's not many Sam Smith songs which are bangers to.
I mean, you would have to go with the one that was a Bond theme, wouldn't you?
Writings on the Wall, yeah.
That's got a bit of a sort of action bit to it.
Yeah.
I mean, what was it? The writings on the wall.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was awful. But,
somehow it was better than Sam Smith.
But then so was the record.
Let's say that was still better than what Sam.
I've just pissed off 10 million Sam Smith fans.
I don't
crossover with Sam Smith.
I don't know. I don't like him anyway, so it's all right.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I don't like Ed Sheeran either. So you know, I'm an
that one you're treading water a little bit.
I'm an equal opportunities modern singer-songwriter hater.
I do like a bit of Ed Sheeran. So
yeah, but you're weird.
Right. Sure. Have we forgot anyone?
Trying to think. I was gonna say who else have you had on here, but
the old co-hosts.
Yeah.
Callum.
I guess it'd be like a sort of. They would be like a sort of retired tag team, wouldn't they?
Yeah. If Callum was to make a surprise entrant, it'd have to be the Proclaimers, just because Scotland.
Yeah, possibly, or Rowdy Roddy Piper's music.
No, he doesn't have the right to use that. He probably doesn't know who Roddy Piper is. He doesn't know a lot of pop culture references.
Fair point, well made.
And also then George, Ass Man, Billy Gunn.
Ooh.
And it's not because he likes asses. It's because, well, I'll leave that there.
So it's not because it's not because he loves to love them, loves to stick him, gonna stick him, gonna kick him.
Loves to shove him. He loves to flan him. What other stuff is there? Do you want me to sing a little bit of Ass Man?
He's not got a little tight one he can snap upon a dime.
Would you like me to quickly just sing a bit of Mr. Ass?
Got buns of glory, buns of steel.
Yep. Yeah. So Ass Man, Billy Gunn. Would you like me to read some of the lyrics?
Mate, the lyrics to Ass Man by Billy Gunn are poetry.
Would you want me to read them like poetry, or
just read them in a style of a Shakespearean sonnet?
I'm an ass man. Yeah, I'm an ass man. I love to love him. I love to kick him. I love to shove him. I love to stick him. Love to flan him. I love to watch him. I love to pick him, and I'm gonna kick him. Cause I'm an ass man.
Twice in the first verse.
No, it's pick and then kick. Pick. The last one is pick.
But it's not kick in the first. Is it not a kick in the first 4 lines?
Yeah, no, kick is there. Yeah, kick's there. You're right.
So you're saying he's going to kick him twice? I mean, don't get me wrong, he's a wrestler, so he's got a right to kick them twice. But...
And then obviously the chorus, but there's so many asses, so little time. Only a tight one could stop me on the dime. I'm a lover of every kind. The best surprise always sneak up from behind.
I mean, whoa. Like, let's just hope that we're talking about a surprise roll up or a schoolboy here. Okay, for those unversed, a schoolboy is where you literally roll somebody up from behind in a wrestling ring.
It's like a small package, isn't it?
It is, but I wasn't really going to go there because that's something else that non-wrestling fans would listen to and go, "Oh my god!" But yeah, so let's just hope that he just means like a surprise attack. But given that in the first verse he said that he loves to stick them.
Yeah.
In a sort of post-Me Too world, the lyrics to Ass Man are questionable.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I've met Mr. Gunn. He's an absolutely lovely chap.
There's still some more lyrics to go through if you want to continue.
And gave absolutely no vibe of being any form of sexual predator.
Thank Christ for that. Maybe these lyrics will change your mind. Buns of glory, buns of steel. Your lies won't give away the truth of how I feel. You walk behind me, I feel the heat. That's why girls that walk behind me down the street. Because I'm an ass man.
So he's talking about surprising other people from behind, and now he's got people walking behind him. I mean, it's all over the place.
It's almost.
I mean, this sounds to me like it's been written by somebody who doesn't know whether an ass man is a man who likes asses or a man with a very fine ass himself.
I feel like we just do an episode of the podcast where these are segments that are just weird WWE themes of weird lyrics.
Yeah, I mean, I think that when we're sort of talking through, I think when we're talking through the results afterwards, we need to go through some more lyrics to WWE entrances.
Yeah, I do have one for you. I do have one more for you. And it goes like this. Well, it's the big show. It's the big bad show tonight. Yes, it's the big show. Crank it up, turn on the lights. And this is where it gets bad. Get ready for something that you've never known. You won't see it coming, but I promise you know. It's the big show. So will you know or won't you know? You said you won't know what it is, but then you'll know what it is.
He's fucking 7'2" and 500 pounds. See him coming.
Yeah, but it's like get ready for something that you've never known.
Even I will see him coming.
But yeah, I'll collect some more for our next show.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of mileage in this. There's a lot of mileage in this. You know, Peter Kay found out about 15, 20 years ago. Reading through song lyrics is comedy gold.
Yeah, I think
And you know, it's quite useful as well because essentially you're taking somebody else's words and making gold out of it.
Yeah. Well, there we go, guys. I think that's the perfect way to end this week's edition of the podcast. Thank you so much, John, for being on the past 2 weeks. It's been a pleasure.
Aye.
And so that's going to be a lot of fun. There is another watch along being recorded this Friday. Yes, I know. I'm taking people away from a very big television debut. I'm a mean man. But yeah, The Doctor's Daughter will be coming out next Friday for you guys, but we're recording it this Friday. John, you haven't told me whether you'll be there or not, so I don't know.
I didn't even know that was what you were doing. I saw that there was a watch along coming up, but I didn't know what the particular story was. I likely won't actually because I've got a couple of Zoomy things scheduled for this weekend. I am doing a Nightmare of Eden, Nightmare in Silver quiz on Saturday. I don't know why I'm advertising this because this will be released after it's happened. You know, but yeah, I've got a couple of Azumi bits going on, so I will probably sit and watch It's a Sin, looking out for Mr. Sin from the Salons of Wayne Chiang in It's a Sin, and then getting annoyed when he's not in It's a Sin, because why would you call it It's a Sin if Mr. Sin isn't going to be in it?
There we go. There we go.
Yeah, do watch It's a Sin. It looks really good.
I will be watching it.
Yeah, but are you taking viewers away from it? Because don't your watch-alongs normally start at around 10 o'clock?
Well, doesn't it end at 10 o'clock?
That told you that there is a clash has lied.
Well, there you go.
And they just don't want to do it, and they didn't want to see your little face when they said that.
Yeah.
How
there you go.
Last week go?
It was all right. Unfortunately, the one we did last week won't be uploaded because Zoom recording screwed up and it didn't convert the file, and the file's now being corrupt. So we did.
They got sweary and filthy without my calming presence there.
No, it would. But there, so yeah, so there wasn't one last week, but there will be one. There will be back weekly from this week forwards. So. At least until lockdown is done.
The Doctor's Daughter is a very fine episode.
Yeah, the reason we're watching it is because I don't like it very much.
I was being diplomatic. No, I wasn't being diplomatic. Actually, I do quite like the Doctor's Daughter, and me saying I like the Doctor's Daughter is absolutely nothing to do with the fact that Georgia Tennant is quite active on social media, and so were she to find me insulting it, would probably come back with a pithy comment. And I know that I'm on her radar because she retweeted my tweet about Staged last week. But I was being...
There you go then. Perfectly done. All fine and dandy. So yeah, thank you for coming on again, John. We'll see you again next week for more wrestling shenanigans. But until then, guys, goodbye.
Night.